Deacon Mike. Thank you so much for being here today and talking for a couple minutes. As you know, I'm Dr. Klauisli, from Program Director in the Master's of Psychology program at Divine Mercy. You are Marriage and Family Life Director there in Colorado Springs and student in the Master's of Psychology program at Divine Mercy. Do you want to share a little bit things that have been helpful in the program? You're doing the Marriage and Family Studies concentration and working in that setting at the diocesan level. Would you share a little bit what you do and things of the program that have been helpful for you?
Yeah, it's I've taken over this position, or I've moved into this position in December, so it's been about 7-8 months. And at the same time, I've started the program through the Divine Mercy University, and I found it very intriguing how these things have aligned in my life, and it's a real blessing to be going to the Divine Mercy University and learning about marriage and family life and the Catholic Christian meta model of a person. Really didn't understand or had never heard of that model before entering Divine Mercy. But it's so enlightening, and it's what's satisfying is to know that the field of psychology has this meta model of the person that takes human dignity, and that we're created in God's image as the core of all of the psychological schools, if you will, brings them together under that one common core element, which is so important as a Catholic deacon, as someone who's trying to help marriages flourish, help engaged couples come together and really embrace the sacrament of marriage. I find it also very helpful whenever couples come to me and maybe they're having struggles with their family, their children, with their relationship, to just delve in and say, look, we have this data here from the meta model of a person that says that it's important to realize that we are created with that dignity and that we are created in the image of God. And so it's been very, very fulfilling, and I'm very grateful to be part of the program. I'm really enjoying it.
Wonderful. So you're working with couples in a small group setting, just with couples, but also organizing marriage preparation and other things.
Right.
In the Marriage and Family concentration, we have that philosophy course of Catholic Christian marriage and human sexuality, but then also systems theory and an intervention class. Anything that comes to mind that's been really helpful in my day-to-day work with families and couples?
You know, in the systems theory class, it was really interesting to learn and talk with a couple, learn and do the coursework, and then talk with a couple and just recognize some of the keys that's going on in the family dynamic. And you can observe a husband and a wife that are having some challenges, how the emotions come up, and it really hinders how they communicate. And so it's like, as just sitting there and listening and trying to share with them, it's like, well, let's kind of remove some of this emotion. We don't, from the conversation, so we can really get to the root cause of what's going on here. And so it's been very helpful to just see those different systems.
And then when we spoke earlier, you mentioned you're doing some assessment with couples as well. Yeah, what do you like to do there? What do you find helpful?
My wife and I we do the pre-inventory marriage pre-inventory survey, and we sit down with a couple after they complete the questionnaire and just delve into their all the little aspects of the relationship and how they communicate. We even talk a little bit about their family of origin and how that affects their how they see the world, how they see marriage, and their expectations. And so we can help peel that back a little bit and help them really facilitate how they communicate about those touchy subjects with each other. And so it's a real blessing to be able to do that. You can recognize too that people have formed patterns and I've learned this in one of the courses. They learn patterns in their brain reacts a certain way to certain stimulation or certain scenarios. And so it's like their go-to, and sometimes it's not always the most productive go-to way forward in a given situation. So we just help them explore that and communicate and be supportive of each other.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. And in the third course, I don't know if you've taken that already, you'll get certified as in the Prepare Enrich assessment as well, which is part of that course, just to have another tool. But it seems kind of that just having different tools to work effectively in a diocesan or parish setting with couples and families, and just kind of being a blessing and just having a larger toolbox, so to speak,
Exactly.
dig into. Yeah.
It's good to know that that the course itself supports focus and enrich in these different premarital inventory programs, and so having that also, I can share that with the other mentor couples out there. Say, look, these are programs that are in place, and they're supported in the field of psychology, to bring forward and really help these couples grow and as they prepare for marriage.
I love how you earlier mentioned too the kind of that holistic vision of the flourishing person. I can see that perspective so unique when you have a couple who's really struggling and maybe they're not at their best, and holding on to that goodness and createdness gives you that hopeful outlook that there is a pathway forward, right? I know in my couple work as well, when I work with couples, that I love that hopeful perspective. And I think DMU is such a unique place with that just deep integration of theology and psychology for that richer vision of the person. So I love how you pointed that out. So yeah, wonderful. Anything else that comes to mind from the program that's been helpful for your work?
Just to follow up on your last comment, when you look at the levels of vocation, the vocational levels, when prior to the course, prior to the program, I always just thought of vocation as like your vocational state, married life, priesthood. And I think a lot of us think in that context. But when we focus on our vocational, the level, our vocation to goodness, our vocation to God, our vocation, our purpose to be directed towards God, and in those three levels, and I've repeated this a lot in spiritual direction and to couples, is we have to have that relationship with God that draws us that vocation, that first vocational level. Us and God to be strong and through prayer and through the sacraments. But then it goes to that next level, which is the immediate family. And for a married couple, that image of the relationship with God and that love that we share is the closest we can have outside of God. It's with our spouse and our family. So that's the next level. So that's just as important. We just can't have one without the other. And when those two are flourishing and good, and we're feeling purpose, that third level also comes into play, and that's our goodness to the community and our call to. And I use practical examples like our work, our job, our parish, and any kind of like social groups we're members of. When all three of those levels are in sync and ordered towards good and God, that's when we probably feel our best. And so we can look at that, and it always starts with the first one, but it branches out. And I found that very intriguing, and I've used that teaching, that understanding a lot when I'm talking with couples or just someone who's coming in and saying, hey, I don't feel close to God, I don't feel close to my spouse, and my work is in shambles. I say, well, let's go back and let's just talk about how all this affects us as individuals, as children of God. So it's been great. I really enjoyed that.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so glad the program has been a blessing. And I'm so glad you are a blessing to the couples and families in your diocese. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate having a chance to talk.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Klauisli. It's been great.